Hey, beautiful people. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. If you are joining me for the first time, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me a try. I appreciate you. On this podcast, we have daily shifts, and those are episodes that play a few times a week where there's about a 3 minute episode where you learn something new, anything to help you shift and get through your day. A lot of times we're looking for this big change when it's something small that we can do that can help us get to the greater part that we're trying to get to. I also have guests on my shows and I do solo episodes. This is a solo episode. Bear with me, I have notes because this is a very personal episode and I'm already feeling emotional. So couple weeks ago, I lost my older brother. Um, this was a sudden shock to me and my family. And I'm the kind of point person in my family, I'm a whole therapist. I had helped my mom plan the funeral and, you know, reach out to people like I was on. He passed away on a Saturday, and my mom wanted to have the services the following Saturday. So there was a lot of calling places and just getting information. I also have three younger siblings as well, who we were, talking and everything like that. And I've walked people through grief over the years. I've lost people. My brother, my older brother, he was 2 years older than me. We was close, and somebody I've known my entire life. And there's moments even now where like I could be experiencing joy and then I'll say to myself like, "Oh snap, he's not here anymore." And I think for people that have lost people, that's something that comes up, right? Um so I got through the funeral and then everything was done. And then that's when I was able to finally slow down. Um, so I was heading to California the week after. I got on a plane and I sat back, and then it just feels like it came out of nowhere, right? My neck, my shoulders, like everything was super stiff. I was moving like this. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm like slowly like turning my neck. Every time I moved, I was just in this excruciating pain. And it reminded me of when I was younger and I ended up in the ER because I couldn't move my back. I was dealing with a lot of trauma. And I remember the doctor was just like, I got muscle relaxer and that was it. But when I was 14 years old, I did not know anything about the body and how we hold on to things. But literally, because I was in go, 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 survival mode, shock, grief, um, I was able to keep moving, didn't have a chance to like somatically process it. And so it's just storing, right? It's storing till I'm ready to slow down. And during that week, I used weed gummies every night. I would do what I had to do, and then at night take a couple of gummies to help my brain shut off because I'm like, this can't be life. And I kept saying, try to get to the funeral, just get through that day, help out your mom. And that's what I did. That was the way I was able to calm down at night and relax and get up the next day. I took off from work. I would do some paperwork stuff, but every day I would go to my mom's house and like just plan this funeral. Like someone's here one day and they're not here the next day, and you're planning their services. When can you slow down? So nobody talks about this part, right? Like the body part and how we hold on to all of these emotions. So what's actually happening in your body when we're in crisis mode, right? Like I was literally in crisis mode. My body was in shock. When we're in crisis mode, the adrenaline and cortisol is running rampant. So the body delays the grief process, right? My body was delaying my grief process, but it was all storing up. And as this was happening and I'm on the plane and I'm stiff, I was just thinking like, damn, there's so many people that don't know what's happening with their body. For me, it just happened to come and present itself that way. But for some people, it could be your head. You start getting a crazy migraine. It could be your back, right? It could be your stomach turning. There's so many ways that our body responds to trauma, to grief, to being in shock, right? Like I was like, oh, this sucks. But I also was grateful that I was able to recognize like the trajectory and like what took place. So the body will delay it once the threat is over, right? Because it's like, oh, shoot, what's happening? There's a lot going on. But once the threat is over, we finally pause. The nervous system drops survival mode, right? And for so many people, because like thing after thing after thing takes place, you may not have ever dropped that survival mode. Your body may be so stiff that you don't even recognize it's happening. When I got to California the same day as I was on the plane, I was booking a Thai massage. And the lady spent like an hour on my back. Like it was so knotted up. You would have thought that it was been like that for months, but it literally was within a couple of weeks that my body just tensed up in the way that it did because it was in so much shock. So once the threat is over, your nervous system drops out of survival mode. That's when the physical symptoms start showing up: stiffness, tension, fatigues, headache, chest heaviness, digestive issues. Sometimes people's sleep is disturbed, right? Like I said, I took gummies the first week of everything taking place every night. I was able to sleep. I don't know if I would have been able to shut my brain off if I didn't take the gummies that helped me. The body stores what the mind hasn't processed yet. Um, this is somatic grief, right? It's not you being weak. It's not like something's wrong with you. It's literally biology, right? Your body is doing what it's designed to do. It's trying to help you survive. And literally, like I needed help surviving that entire time. What people don't expect about grief, right? You don't always cry right away. Sometimes you can go numb first. And I think, when this all happened, I remember when my mom said that he's dying, his body's shutting down, and he wasn't sick. Um, and I remember like crying, like it was weird. I was numb and then I had tears. And I felt so sad. But I think my mind just kept saying, okay, like, how are you going to help your mom? Like, how are you going to help your siblings? Like, what's next? Like this is happening whether I like it or not. I went into acceptance mode. And I think I'm a very action oriented person. So I think I really went into action mode and started like going through the process of, okay, what's next? What are we going to do? What do you need? Cooking for my mom. It was hard. This is her oldest child. There's not a name for a parents that lose a child. I have children, and I've dealt with people around grief in so many different capacities that I just see how it breaks you down. So grief isn't just sadness. It shows up in so many different ways: irritability, brain fog, physical exhaustion, anger, right? You can end up going on an emotional roller coaster, right? And so that's normal. I think it's important to understand that there's no direct line that's linear that takes you through the process of grief. There is definitely this up and down that takes place. The strong one in the family typically delays the grief the longest, right? And I think that was me. Like my grief was definitely delayed. It doesn't follow any kind of timeline, right? You could be minding your business and sipping your tea, and the wave hits you. And it hasn't even been a month, and I literally like get these waves where it hits me, where I just get quiet, and I'm like, wow, this is life, And it's so hard. And I think that because of the work that I do and the people that I get to work with that come through my center, like all the time through therapy, working with other therapists, through the classes that we provide, like I'm beyond grateful that I have this platform and I can like teach people about the hard stuff because life is hard. And I think accepting that life is hard helps me get through the hard moments of life. It helps me help people in the process of processing the hard thing that's taking place. So grief is just going to come and whenever it chooses to come. um, Losing the person and the version of yourself that existed with them, right? That's a secondary loss. And it's really hard. So what helped and what can help, right? Because I am somebody on this platform. I'm gonna talk about the hard stuff. I talk in general, and then I always use examples on the ways that I have worked through things. I am in the middle of this grief, right, and still um, in the process of processing it. But giving the body permission to release movement, crying, rest, right? Literally, like I allowed myself to cry when I want to cry. Move, continue to move my body. Um, the somatic tools, the breath work, the body scans, the gentle stretching. I allowed myself to do all of that as soon as I realized my neck was in pain, and I was flying from Boston to California, so it was a longer flight than I typically would take. A lot of times I'm traveling between like Florida and DC, like 2 hour, 3 hour flights. It feels like I'm on and off, but California is like a 6 hour flight. And so this was a long flight where I just started just moving my neck a little bit at a time. And then just giving myself like gentle massages, knowing what was happening. Like it didn't freak me out. It was just like, okay, this is what's happening. You're finally able to rest. Your body's been holding on to this. Like I was so kind to myself through the process. So that's important. Letting people help instead of coordinating everything on your own, right? Even though I was part of the coordination process, when I needed help, I was able to ask for help, right? I understand that I'm one person and I can't do it all. Therapy is obviously a great tool for grief. Also, grief support groups are great, right? If you find yourself struggling, like it's okay to talk about it. Luckily, like I have a really amazing partner that I can talk to about anything. So that was helpful. My siblings, talking to them has been helpful and therapeutic, right? Just because you don't have a therapist to talk to, if you don't have that, who is your support system, right? Be okay with having these dialogues out loud. Normalize whatever got you through the acute phase with no judgment, right? Um, Whatever you had to do to get through those moments, be mindful and not judging yourself because grief is hard, trauma is hard. Dealing with a shock that you were not expecting is very hard. So leaning more into community and trying not to isolate yourself during the process of grief, right? Because your body does what it's designed to do. If you don't talk about it, if you don't move through it, unfortunately, like it gets stuck in your body, and that's where all the ailments take place. So really thinking about these things, if you're somebody that's navigating grief, know that the symptoms that you're having is your system responding to it. So, in closing, grief is going to happen, right? It's the price that we pay for love. I can't stress that enough. It's something that, um, as I'm talking about this, is so hard to talk about. Um, but I find, and this is literally like, I've taught myself how to think in the way that I think, right? My mindset and the way that I process things is that I'm acknowledging the hard stuff, but I'm also holding space for joy, right? That's something I've been telling people about, like how this is very hard, but also I am intentionally bringing in joy because grief is not the only thing I'm experiencing. And I don't want my mind to get so caught up in the grief that it doesn't allow itself to experience joy. Our mind can only go at the pace that we take it. And so when you are dealing with something so heavy, name it, honor it, validate it, right? All of that. I am not asking you to ignore the grief or the hard stuff. But what I am asking you to do is to allow yourself to bring in joy. I feel like that's how we honor the people that we've lost, right? Like when you think about like the people that you've lost and how you may be like sitting in grief, remind yourself that they would want you to be happy, right? They would want you to experience joy. I know that death is a part of life, but nobody wants to think about it, right? And if you have experienced losing loved ones and you feel like you're like heavy in the grief, like I want to give you permission to allow yourself to experience joy, right? That is important. And if we don't, our mind is only going to focus on the grief. Our mind is only going to focus on the hard stuff. Your body will tell you what your mind isn't ready to say. So listen to it, right? As I was on the plane and I pulled out my laptop to do some work, I realized, like, oh, shoot, Celeste, your body is like crying out for you to pause, for you to pay attention to it, right? I don't know if the pain was there and I was just ignoring it because I feel like I was experiencing a lot of brain fog. I was just doing enough to get through the moments that I had to get through. And so really be mindful of what your body is telling you. Have patience with yourself around whatever your body's telling you because you're not falling apart. You're processing something that's real. And my kind voice that I have with myself is not a voice I was brought up in. It's not the way I learned how to talk to myself or how to operate. It's something that I learned as an adult. And I want to stress that because I don't want you to think just because I'm a therapist is the reason why I'm able to create the systems that I create. The systems are created because I got tired of feeling how I was feeling and I decided to try something new, as unconventional and as weird as it felt, to speak positive over my life, to reframe, to like experience pain, but then just figure out like, what did I learn from this lesson, or how can I bring in gratitude in the middle of my pain? I'm bringing in gratitude and reminding myself, thank you for being able to experience this and know what's happening versus like having pain, not knowing what's happening. I am grateful for that awareness. And that is how you get through life, right? Is by acknowledging the good, not just the bad. It's easy for us to pick up on the bad, but the good is the part that's really hard for us. Give yourself the same grace you would give somebody else going through this, right? That's important. A lot of times we don't give ourselves enough grace, and we are very hard on ourselves. So I kind of wanted to share that what happens to the body when you're experiencing grief. This experience has been very hard. It still feels hard, but I am grateful for the tools that I've been able to learn over the years. I'm grateful for the center that I have where the classes I've been taking here has allowed me to like stay more present in my body. I've learned so many amazing new skills from all of the wellness providers that partner with me at this wellness center, and I am beyond grateful. So I hope this episode helped you. If anything I said resonated with you, let me know. I would love to hear from you. You can email me, DM me, write me on social media. My email is celestev, CELESTEV at STWYT.com. You can find me on all social media platforms at Celeste the Therapist. I also go live on Instagram and TikTok every Thursday and Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to do a regulation with me series where I do a breathing routine that's about 5 to 7 minutes. And then I allow people to ask me questions about mental health. So if you are not following me on my podcast page on TikTok or Instagram, it's Celeste the Therapist. There's also a Celeste the Therapist personal page, but the podcast page is where we are doing the Regulate With Me series. And then just check out my website if you are in the Stoughton, Mass area. We have live classes that take place all month. If you go to STWYT.com, STWYT.com, you can find the link everywhere. Thank you so much for listening to me and rocking out with me. I truly appreciate you. And until next time, beautiful people, I will talk to you later.